Good morning and welcome everyone to Metro Christian Academy's third Foundational Father Gathering. Excited to have everyone join. My name is Scott Dixon. I'll be today's moderator. I got a couple things to cover. If everybody could open up the chat feature in their Zoom platform, we're going to test that. It should be in the bottom, depending upon if you're on the web portion or on a mobile version. Open that up, and just in the chat, make sure you select all panelists and all attendees, and go ahead and type in the chat what your plans are for the upcoming 4-day weekend of President's Weekend. Got a couple things coming in. In that same toolbar, you're going to see the Q&A feature. We'll use this for all the questions for Scott and the students, and it will allow us to keep track of the questions and address anything that we can't get to on today's session. So that wraps up my portion. Please welcome Scott Williams to kick things off.
All right, good morning, Metro. Scott, thank you so much. First thing I want to do this morning is I want to thank a few key people that make this all happen. First off, I want to thank Scott Dixon and Encore. They have been incredible hosts for us this year, providing our Zoom platform to be able to host these events. And so we're extremely thankful for that and extremely thankful for the time that Scott has put in making this possible. I also want to thank Metro, specifically Dr. Curvin, Tracy Myers, and the COVID team for allowing us to do this live on campus. So I got excited this morning because I thought, well, I'm going to get back to the way that things were because I get on campus to do this Foundational Fathers. But I was also sad because, we still miss seeing everybody around here and running around and doing the donuts and having the good time and fellowship. So we're praying and hoping that we get back to that fairly quickly. But again, thank you to them for hosting that. And then I want to say a special thank you to the IT staff here at Metro Christian Academy, Craig, Cliff, and Matthew. Thank you guys so much. They put in extra time and effort for us to be able to be here today on campus to broadcast live. So I'm going to open us up in a quick word of prayer, and then we're going to get started with our special guest today. So please bow your head and join me. Dear God, thank you so much for this day, Lord. Thank you for Metro Christian Academy and its mission and the wonderful difference it is making in the lives of these students, these families, and this community, Lord. I just thank you that we get the opportunity to be here to represent you, Lord. I thank you that just like you command us, Metro is a light on the hill, shining its light throughout the community to make a difference for Christ. I thank you so much for our special guests today, Lord, Savannah and Jackson. What a special opportunity it is to be with them today, to hear from them and have them share from their heart what their experiences are, both personally and here at Metro as students, Lord. I just pray that you give them wisdom in the message that they share with us today, Lord, and use it to make a difference for us that are get the privilege of listening to them and hear from them today, Lord. So we just pray for your continued blessings, Lord, over this school, safety and health, Lord. And we pray that we finish the year stronger than we started it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So traditionally for the Foundational Fathers event, we have speakers, and I do a quick introduction, and then we turn that over to the speakers. But the foundation, and looking at this, wanted to do something different today. We actually had come up with this idea last year, and we were going to do it at our last meeting, and then COVID hit, and we went virtual, and we didn't get the opportunity to do this. But I'm extremely excited about what we're doing today. We get the opportunity to have two of our current seniors today participate in our Foundational Fathers event and share some of their thoughts and some of their experiences that, in my mind, are critical for those of us who are still in the process of raising children. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce them by name, but I'm going to allow themselves to introduce themselves via some of the questions and the conversation that the three of us have. So we have Savannah Ing, who's a senior, who's class of 2021. And then we have Jackson Stone, also a senior, class of 2021, with us here today. And so, Savannah, I'm going to ask you to get us started. So how long have you gone to school here at Metro?
So I've attended Metro since P3, so that's about 16 years. So I've pretty much grown up here my entire life.
Yeah, I would say so. That's quite the experience. You're quite the veteran. So Jackson, how about you?
I've been attending Metro since kindergarten. About a year after I moved to Tulsa, I came here.
Okay, so Savannah's got a couple of years on you, Jackson, but not a whole lot of time. So so tell me a little bit about some of the activities that you guys have participated. We know your students. We've already talked about that. We've talked about the fact that you guys are seniors, so we know you're going to class. We know you're doing a great job in that aspect. Tell me about some of the other activities here at Metro that you guys have participated in since you started school.
So I've been very involved in Metro, and I love Metro because of that. It's very easy to get connected into different things here. But right now, I'm involved in tennis and student council, and I'm a service coordinator, which means that I get to do a lot of like philanthropic events and different things like that through student council. And I'm also in leadership, and I've played volleyball and also been involved in debate and several things like that. But that's just a few of them.
Jackson, how about you?
Yeah, so like Savannah was saying, there's so many opportunities here at Metro. Currently, the biggest thing I'm involved in is Metro's band program, specifically the jazz band. But some of the other things I've been involved in are academic bowl, some various sports like basketball, tennis, and yeah, just plenty of opportunities here.
That's awesome. No, Savannah, you made the comment, you talked about the fact that you're currently involved in student council and you're as the service coordinator for student council. So tell me what some of the activities that you've had a privilege of engaging some of your fellow students in through that particular position.
Yeah, so my favorite is actually the block party that we normally put on for our surrounding community. And that normally happens around Halloween time, and we do like a trunk or treat and different things like that. But we didn't get to do it sadly this year because of COVID. But we're looking forward to gonna try to do one in the spring if that's possible. But I'm not really sure. But we've still been able to find different ways to connect with our community just by doing like different drives or just raising money or like collecting different goods to deliver to different places like that, just to reach out to our community.
And for those of you who haven't experienced the trunk or treat event that Metro and the Student Council puts on, it is an outstanding event. Several families come out and back their cars up in the field just directly west of the football stadium and just sit out behind and pass out candy to the local community and kids. And it makes a huge difference when you see the number of families that come in and out. Now, Jackson, you talked about being, a member and actively involved in the band. So, with being with the jazz band and things like that, what different do you guys host concerts and things like that? Is that kind of what that particular activity focus is?
Yeah, so the band hosts concerts. We host one per semester, and we also have a few smaller programs like Fall Preview. And in addition to that, we also do competitions. We participate in Oklahoma State Jazz Competition. And this year, we're actually planning on going out of town to go to another jazz competition in Branson. So.
Oh yeah, I bet you're excited about that. That's not a bad place to visit, especially when you're talking about music. They got a few good acts and different things like that up there in Branson. So. Okay, so both of you guys have been at Metro for a significant period of time. So you guys have had a lot of teachers, you guys have had a lot of classes, you've been involved in a lot of activities. So tell me, Savannah, tell me some of the classes and some of the teachers that have really made a difference for you, that you just look back and you think, man, that was fun. That was a fun class. I really enjoyed that.
Okay. So my passion here at Metro has always been in the science department, and it's kind of the reason why I want to go into the medical field later on. But Miss Blake, who actually retired last year, she is by far my favorite teacher that I've ever had because she was very passionate, and I had her for anatomy and physiology, and that has probably been my favorite class just because the way that she taught things and her passion really just like it kind of just like was contagious to everyone. So it made everyone excited to learn. And then right now I'm in AP biology with Mr. Kohlbacher, and I really love that class. So I would say mainly just the science classes here, especially since we have a really great and strong science department, and the teachers, like you can tell that they're passionate about what they teach. So that would be my favorite.
And that makes such a huge difference
Mm-hmm.
in a student's experience. So, Jackson, how about you? What are some things that have been really cool teachers, really cool classes that you've had an opportunity to experience here?
Yeah, so the math teachers at Metro, my passion at Metro is math, and specifically my freshman math teacher really ignited my passion to learn more about higher level math. I kind of just enjoyed math, but it wasn't my passion before. I didn't really, have any special interest in it. But after my freshman year, I kind of realized through her passion how interesting high level math can be, and it made me want to do engineering even more. So the math department at Metro has definitely made a difference in my life.
All right, so real quick then, Jackson, what math class are you taking right now here at Metro?
I'm taking AP Calc BC. I'm actually taking a Tulsa Tech right now.
Okay, that's kind of probably what I thought, but I thought I'd ask the question. So speaking of that, Jackson, one of the things that I learned about in preparing for this is that you've taken advantage of Metro's partnerships and the dual enrollment. So tell us a little bit about how that works and how that has helped prepare you for, what will be the next step for you, and also give you a leg up as you prepare to enter college with credit already in place.
Sure. So I go to Tulsa Tech for half the day every day, and I do the pre-engineering program. So what that means is I get to take classes that would normally only be reserved for engineering students in college, but I get to do them in high school. So I will be very well prepared when I go to college. I'll have already seen a lot of the material, my at least first semester of college. So I'll have a leg up on the other students, and I will just be familiar with much more of the material. And it also helps because it reaffirms students' passion for engineering. They know if through that program, they can figure out if they really want to do engineering or not. And that's just really helped because it's also surrounded me with a bunch of other people who are passionate about engineering. And Metro's been awesome in helping me be able to take advantage of this program through Tulsa Tech.
That's great. And you mentioned that you want to go into engineering as your course of study in college, Jackson. I know when we were visiting this morning, there's a specific area of engineering that you want to enter. If you would share with the audience what that is.
Yeah, so I want to do computer engineering, which is a mix of, it's about half electrical engineering and half computer science. So it specifically focuses on designing computer hardware like microprocessors and stuff like that.
Wow, that's way above my head. So, and Savannah, you talked about going into the medical field. So share with our audience specific area, specific thing that you're kind of targeting as far as profession post.
So my dream's always been to go to med school because I want to be a pediatrician, and I'm still kind of going back between different majors, but right now I'm looking at majoring in dietetics and then being on the pre-health track to become a pediatrician.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump over to this question, Savannah, because obviously knowing your family and knowing what your mom does, share a little bit about your family and how that may have impacted you wanting to go into the medical field.
Yeah, so I have a huge family, but my oldest brother, he attends Baylor University and he's a sophomore. And then there's me, and I'm going to be attending Texas Christian in the coming fall. And then my younger sister, Madeline's a sophomore here at Metro, and Kincaid's a seventh grader. And then Bailey's in second grade. And then, so my mom is a nursing professor at TU. So I've always kind of been surrounded by, I would say, different kind of like medical things because she always, I mean, she like does pediatrics there, and I want to be a pediatrician. So kind of aligns there. But just by hearing her discuss different things that she's been doing has always been really cool. But my dream's been to be a doctor, so I'm kind of tying the two together, I guess, with that.
That's cool. Now that you're going to TCU, have you started thinking about, okay, post TCU, where do I want to go to medical school?
Um, Honestly, like it's so competitive, just kind of wherever I can get in, and that I feel, I don't know, wherever I feel that God leads me. So I haven't really looked at that too much, but there's amazing med school programs everywhere. So
Yeah, there's plenty of time for that down the road. So, all right, Jackson, for those of you who don't know, Jackson achieved quite an honor this year. He received a perfect score on his ACT test of a 36. And so, Jackson, I'm sure that you have plenty of schools that are knocking on your door wanting you to come be a student and represent them. So what schools are you looking at as far as your college education is concerned?
Yeah, so right now my top choice schools are Carnegie Mellon, Georgia Tech, and Stanford. And getting that 36 on ACT, it really just means it doesn't guarantee anything at schools like these, but it definitely means that you have a good opportunity at these schools. It just opens up another door where these schools are a real possibility that I could get into. So it's a huge benefit and blessing that I was able to achieve this score, and Metro's education, and God helped me through that.
Well, and I was going to follow up with that question. Anything additional specific that you did in preparation for the exam to have done so well?
Yeah, so I did tutoring with a private tutor named Brian for a couple months before that, and I actually started back in February and March tutoring with him. I took the test in July. I was originally planning on taking the test in April or May. However, because of COVID, the test was delayed. So I had to take it later, but that meant I got more time in the tutoring. So I think it turned out to be a blessing because I'm not sure if I would have been able to get that high score if I took it a few months earlier.
That's great. Well, and again, that's God's blessing and his direction as he leads us. So Jackson, tell me a little bit about your family. Tell our audience a little bit about your family.
Sure. I live with my mom, my dad, and my sister. We moved to Tulsa back in 2007, and I went to Metro a year later. I went to Kirkland Hills for a year. Like I said, I started going to Metro in kindergarten, and my dad is now retired, and my mom just works at home.
So Savannah, you talked a little bit about your mom's background. How has your family kind of helped shape you as an individual, both as a student and then just as a person?
Yeah, so my family is really big, so I feel like we've always been here to like surround each other and build each other up, and they're always the ones that are like keep me accountable the most, I would say, since there's so many of us, we always get humbled by people. But I would say that, and then the underlining kind of like my biggest inspiration for everything would be my dad. And I got the chance to have him for like 16 amazing years, so everything, like I've learned so much from him, and I don't know, just kind of like anything that I kind of like go through each day, I can remember him. And like, he's just, I don't know, he's taught me probably the most. And like, he's the true definition of like a godly man to me. So whenever, like, I know this is foundational fathers, and that's, I feel like, what everyone strives to be. And that's what he was for me. So.
And that's really cool. So some of our audience, it may not know, that your dad passed away very unexpectedly 3 summers ago. I know the Metro community came alongside you guys, and I know that because that was at the point in time that we were transitioning our children over to Metro. So share with the audience just how Metro came along with you guys to help you through that difficult time.
Yeah, so another advantage with Metro is since it's small, everyone feels really connected. and I had the opportunity to have a personal relationship, or at least like know most people in my grade, or at least high school. So I had like numerous teachers and faculty that reached out to me and my family with, and like they all met needs that we didn't even know we needed, like whether it was like them delivering meals or just like sending nice texts or flowers or different things like that. But I've always thought like if I was at like a big public school or something, people probably wouldn't know. But we were just, whenever we came back to school and like during like the incoming fall, we were all open like with, or welcome with open arms, and everyone was just there to support us through that time. So
That's great. So Jackson, tell me one thing that about your family that kind of makes you giggle from your own personal experiences, but it's also one thing that's a source of pride for you that is special to you about being part of your family.
I would just say my family's intelligence and wisdom. Both my parents, like with my dad and my mom, I can both have like amazingly intense discussions about whatever, whether it be the stock market, anything. And I just am so thankful that I've been able to have that education from such an early age from them. And so it's kind of, I think that's probably not like a normal thing that we have, to have such intense discussions about, but I think that's something I love about my family.
And Savannah, I'm going to ask you the exact same question. You've mentioned 2 or 3 times about having a large family. I can relate to that. In fact, I always enjoy periodically. Our family will come post church, hit Cheesecake Factory or something like that, and we look over and we feel good because with the 6 of us, we're not taking up quite as big of a space as the Ing family because they're usually over in a corner taking up 3 or 4 tables. But what's one thing about your family, besides its size, that's a bit unique that makes you laugh, but also is a source of pride for you?
kind of like what I said earlier, like we're all kind of keep each other humble because I don't know, like I know you said not the size, but also like we all have the ability to get along so good, but also we can be like each other's biggest critics with everything. So I just think that's kind of funny.
That's really great. Families are so important. So, what would be one thing, knowing that we're talking to a group of families, a group of dads, granddads who are participating and who are listening today? What is one thing that, from your perspective, as the student, as the son, as the daughter, that you would want to communicate to this group to say, hey, your kids are watching, and these are the things that they're watching, and this is something, to pay attention to? Savannah, what's one thing that you would share?
I would say never underestimate like the influence that you'll have on your kids, because I mean, regardless of how long you're like with your parents or whatever, how great of a relationship you have, they're always under you. So they're always going to be looking up to you, whether they tell you that or not. So even though I may get in arguments randomly with like, I don't know, different people, it's still, I know that they've been successful. So I'm going to watch what they do. So I would just say that, like, especially with my dad, how it wasn't as long as I would have liked, but still, like, I've treasured every little moment that I had with him. So I would just say, like, make every moment count.
That's awesome. Jackson, how about you? What's one thing you would share?
Yeah, I would just say make sure to kind of keep the environment that Metro instills in their students at home. Like, at Metro, your kids are going to have a great environment. They're going to be instilled with a great worldview, but I think it's extremely important that that also carries over to the home.
Okay. And then my last question for you guys, just a curiosity again, this is a perspective question, for us to consider. But if you were head of school for the day at Metro, and there was one thing that you could change about how we function and how we operate, what would that be? Savannah, I'll let you go first.
Okay. So I know it's kind of hard to like force this, but I would just try to ensure that everyone, or at least encourage people to have an authentic and transparent faith, because I feel like since Metro's like a Christian school, everyone kind of just assumes that everyone's like Christian and goes to church and like all of these different things. But I feel like it's a completely thing or completely different thing to actually have to like live out your faith and not just talk the talk. So I would just encourage everyone to be completely transparent with that, and like if they need help, then to let people know that, because here at Metro we have such a great community and we can all surround each other and make each other better.
That's great. Jackson, how about you?
Yeah, I think I would try to put more higher level academic classes in. And I know that can be difficult because there probably wouldn't be many students that take them. But like, for example, say AP Computer Science or AP Physics C, I think those classes would be very nice for the students who do want to take them, but I can understand why it would be difficult to implement them. And I would also just say, try to make the scheduling a little bit easier for students who are doing the dual enrollment, because me and my friend were kind of one of the first people to do that. And it was very difficult. It was fairly difficult to get a schedule going, but luckily my mom was there to help us through a lot of that. But yeah, I would just say try to make that process easier for the students who try to do the dual enrollment and have some higher level courses.
Okay, that's great. So at this point in time, what we want to do is we want to open it up to the audience. And as Scott mentioned, we have the Q&A function. If you have a question that you would like to ask one of the students, if you would just type that in. I have my handy dandy iPad in my hand here that I can see those questions and ask them. I don't have any questions right now. We do have some of their family members have joined us in the audience, so I'll ask them too if they have any specific questions that I haven't asked or that they would like to put their children on the spot and ask them about. Okay, so I did get one question that came in. So Jackson, this one's for you. You mentioned doing some private tutoring to prepare yourself for the ACT exam. How important and how big of a factor do you think that was?
I think that was very important. The tutor, I met with him every week. I did almost a whole test every week. So I would say that at least you have to do extra practice outside of the ACT to get that high of score. I wouldn't say you have to have a private tutor, but it definitely helps because he goes through the test with me and shows me what I missed, why I missed it, and gives me other examples from other ACTs of questions like that. And we'll also kind of give you tips on how the ACT writes questions to make you go faster through it. So I would say it's important to have private lessons, but you must do extra practice, at least some kind of extra practice outside of just taking the test.
Okay. Savannah, I know you mentioned being a member of the tennis team here at Metro. How many years have you been on the tennis team?
So, I mean, my dad, he owned a tennis club when we were younger, so I always grew up playing tennis and stuff, and then I stopped to play other sports. But then I started playing, we didn't have like an actual team in middle school, but we all kind of just played under Metro, but it wasn't technically for Metro. But I started playing for Metro freshman year. So I've always been surrounded by it, but officially for 4 years.
So for those who may not be familiar with the tennis program here at Metro, and since you've been a member of that team since your freshman year, how successful has that team been?
Yeah, so I didn't play the back whenever we did win state, but Metro, the girls team has won state 2 times in a row, and now we're up in 5A, so we'll see how it goes this year.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you didn't get the opportunity to win 3 in a row because the season got canceled last year, so been highly successful. Jackson, as a member of the jazz band and participating in the competitions, how successful have you guys been in some of the competitions that you guys have competed in?
Well, I've only been in jazz band for I started my sophomore year, and that year I believe we got runner-up in the state for 2A, which is very good. Unfortunately, last year, because of COVID, we weren't able to do the state competition, but I think this year we could do very good. We could possibly win state.
That's great. Any other questions from our audience members? Oh, wait, one just popped up on the Q&A. So it's a great question. One thing that, Savannah, that you would encourage younger students here at Metro to not miss out on, to experience? What's one thing that they need to take advantage of?
I would say to back whenever I was younger, I was really scared to reach out to my teachers or just talk to them. Like I remember my mom would be like, "No, you need to like if I did bad on a test or something like that, she'd be like, you need to email them and like ask like how you can get better." And I was terrified to do that. Like whenever I first started, like when my academics became like I guess more challenging. But once I got older, I realized that that's such an important skill to be able to have, especially for college and preparing yourself for that because I realized once I got to know my teachers like on more of a personal level, not like that, but just more like I guess like more than just like coming into class each day, and they know that I actually care about my education and getting better at that. And I also realized that they have like my interest in mind, and they're not just there to kind of like they're not just there to try to like teach it, but they actually want to help us spiritually and also academically.
And I think I remember you giving that same advice to my oldest son.
Yeah,
So
with science.
you would think that he would live on that experience. So, Jackson, how about you? What's one experience?
I would just say get involved somehow in some kind of community at Metro because being in, jazz band or sports or something, it really just adds a whole nother level because you have not only a grade, but then you also have this smaller group of people who you're even better friends with and you know even better than the rest of the people. And it gives you a reason to participate in things and activities and, go out and do stuff.
Okay. And then on the reverse, is there something that at this point in time you look back on, Jackson, that you say, man, I wish I would have done that?
I don't think I guess I do kind of wish I did math counts back in like 8th grade, but that's something kind of minor. But there's nothing major that I feel like I missed out on at Metro.
Okay. What about you, Savannah? Anything that you're like, man, I wish I would have had that opportunity, or I wish I would have taken advantage of that?
Well, so I am in student council, but I remember being terrified to be in it in middle school or back even freshman year because I joined it sophomore year. And I kind of wish I would have branched myself out there because then I could have gotten involved more. And especially since I feel like Metro is really here to be the light to our surrounding community, I feel like I could have kind of sparked my interest in student council early on and then been able to come up with more ideas by the time like I was a senior. But it's still been awesome since I joined it sophomore year.
Well, I want to thank both of you for doing this today. I know that, getting here as early as you had to get here today, and probably dealing with the anxiety of having to sit up in front of an audience and speaking. I know that's not easy, but it meant the world to us. And when I was cycling back through the chat functions, there were multiple thank yous from those who are participating online saying just thank you guys, not just for doing this, but thank you for the way that you guys represent the Metro community and the things that you're doing. It makes a world of difference, and that's what I think makes this such a wonderful place. I think one of the things that my wife Tammy and I talk about, and you guys are a prime example of this, is how wonderful it is to be able to send our children to a school where it doesn't matter how old they are, whether they're P3, whether they're kindergarten, whether they're senior, there's this sense of community, and the way that the upperclassmen take care of the younger kids is just amazing, and you guys are two prime examples of that. So I want to thank you guys for doing that today. So Scott, I'm going to turn it back over to you, and I think we'll finish up for this Foundational Fathers, and we'll hopefully see you guys in March when the two-time head coach of our Metro State Championship football team will join us for a conversation.
Great. Thanks for joining. Everybody have a great day.